Hello and welcome. We're gonna talk about this thing right here. Not really so much the matter of Peter Smetty's printer went right. We're gonna talk about like the whole weird conversation that spun out from this because this on its own just got some terrible news. I'm gonna have to scramble to find another one. This isn't the best way to start the day, but it is what it is. That's not a hey, I need help finding a new printer or anything like that. That's just a, oh man, this is a bad thing. Hey, this is a way I talk to customers. If you're one of my customers out there, I'm just letting you know there may be a situation coming up. So, it's like early notification. He's communicating out to a lot of his customer base, getting the word out there so people know, hey, if our alternative books are like a week late or something, now we know. Now we know. So that's it. And then George, you should buy a printer. That's fine. George, there was this a couple weeks ago, I think it was. He was like, "Hey, I learned how to do this like hard binding thing. It was actually really cool looking. It's like, oh, that I think it was hard binding. I don't think it was perfect bind like soft bound perfect binding. But anyway, he's like, oh, I learned how to bind books this way. That's cool. And if I was going to be publishing stuff where I'm printing up like 100 or fewer copies of something, I have no problems with saying, yeah, you probably should buy a printer. You get a nice quality printer. You want to print up a small quantity of books. That's cool. That's pretty dope. There's nothing wrong with that. And anybody who says that there's something wrong with doing that is they are trying to pick a fight, or they have a very high quality standard where it's like, oh well, if you're going to da 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 da, but you can work around all that. If you've practiced, and it sounds like George has, then that's not a problem. You can provide that level of quality, and it's not a big deal. So Peter does the unthinkable. He makes a sarcastic joke. Even by his own admission, he's like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Because George is like, this is a good example of why, and it's good for any creator to consider buying their own print equipment. It's more work, but you have zero dependence on outside sources. If something goes wrong, all I have to do is apply some elbow grease. It's a lot more complicated than that, George. Especially when you're Peter Smetty. Like, yeah, it costs a lot of money. Why didn't I think of this before? Do I have where Peter was talking about the number of books that he sold? Hold on. I got so many tabs open that. Oh, no, apparently I don't. It must be further down this thread. Now, I had way underestimated the number of books alternative prints. I figured it would be like 5 to 10,000 a month. Oh, I was way short. Here, look, I like this. These are huge numbers, and I'm glad he's selling these books. I want everybody that's doing this stuff to be able to sell their products and make money. That means Peter Smetty. That means George. That means everybody in this business. I even want people whose comic books I don't like and that I probably won't ever buy. I want them to be successful too. I don't want anybody to go hungry because they can't sell their comic book. So 200,000 comics. This is relevant because over here in today's stream, we maximize that.
Put yourself in the position of I guess where I'm at right now. Okay, so if I was to have a home printer, let's say, a really high quality one, it's great, and it prints out whatever I need, and I can assemble it and do all that stuff, cut it, bind it, everything else. Let's say I get really fast with it, and I can do maybe I can make a comic 3 minutes, we'll say, every single from start to finish, right? Okay, so 3 minutes. We print on average 15,000 comics a month. Some months it's 12,000. Some months it's 20 to 25. But I'll say it's on the lower end. So we'll say 15,000 total comics in a month. Now I'm gonna whip out a calculator here. So that's 3 minutes times 15,000 comics. Okay, so that's 45,000 minutes needed. And
Holy crab apple. 45,000 minutes. That's a lot of time spent out of a publisher's day working on all this stuff by hand. So somewhere down in here, George, it doesn't really matter. We'll just go here. So George's like, oh, I'm going to make a video. That's great. You should absolutely make a video showing people your process. That's cool. That's dope. I'm glad you did that so people can see what you did, and that information can get out there, can get out to where people can see it. That's awesome. But you know the thing is, you're telling a guy who runs, well, it's a small company, but he prints a lot of books that he can go do it himself. That's what I took issue with, and I'm pretty sure that's what a lot of people took issue with is you didn't understand the scale of the operation here. Now, George, if you're gonna hand work on all this stuff yourself, that's fantastic. I would like to see you do 200,000 books. Look, this is my comment. This is how I feel. This is what I was trying to tell him, bro. That's a lot of work for one person. And all you've done through all of this, dropping trowel and saying stuff like this, saying stuff like this, saying stuff like this. Well, this one's not really that, but this is like, it's kind of get there. I have only one machine, using it for my books. You need to buy his own, as I initially recommended. Like, you're being pompous. You're not understanding. You're doing this to get attention for yourself. I understand you're trying to sell your comic book, and you subscribe to the model of there's no such thing as bad publicity, but there absolutely is bad publicity. If your publicity is so bad that you're making a customer go, yeah, I'm not going to buy your books ever, which is what's true in my case. Now, that may change. I may have a conversation with George, or he may do something really cool, and I'm just like, all right, man, I can kind of get over that. But right now, that's how I feel. And I don't think I'm alone in that feeling. Like, this was a totally unneeded period of drama. The best part, though, is here. The same day, that evening, I'll stop talking about to the book ship. Oh, let me scroll up so you can actually see. That was George. I'll stop talking about it until the book ship. Let's go look over here. Let's see, it's November 15. So there was a whole another day and a half of drama. Then I did this, and then there was like this whole big discussion down here. This is actually what convinced me to make the video. For the 1% that sell that many. You mean like the 1% that you addressed? Do you not understand? You're telling somebody who is that audience, print your own books. Print your own books. Print your own books. Look at me, I'm George. Print your own books. It's ridiculous, dude. Now, if your point was just like, hey, maybe something you should consider is owning some of your own printing gear. That way, if there's a problem like this, you can at least make up some of the shortfall. Like, that's a reasonable suggestion. I don't think it'll really work for Peter Smeddy's case, but maybe he could print and bind his graphic novels or something that way. Like, that's a possibility. It's something that should be thought about. But this conversation really should have ended here, in this thread. It never should have got past this. And instead, it spiraled out from here into abuse from pro and anti-EVS people. Like, everybody just wants to have their say. They just want to spin crazy, crazy stuff. And there's lots of tweets like this from George. So it's not that his suggestion was crazy. It's the fact that he just doubled down and doubled down and doubled down and doubled down some more. That has convinced me that, I probably don't want to do business with this guy. Because if he messes up, he's never going to admit it. Whereas when Peter Smeddy messes up, or actually it wasn't even his fault, it was his printer's fault, he makes it right. He goes out of his way to be super duper cool and make things right. So I got this, in case you missed it, right here. I forget if this came from the store or if he sent this to me. It probably came from the store, because I got, I get a copy of this at the store, and I also get him to send me a copy direct. So let me just show you. All right. Well, actually, should I spoil it? Because there's a note on the bag here. Uncut pages. Uncut pages. Let's flip it open. You're like, what does that mean? Uncut pages from his printer. Now, not the whole book isn't like this, but enough of the pages in this book are like this that it's absolutely crazy. I guess that's oh, what do they call those? The bundles of 8 pages. I've suddenly blanked on what that's actually called in the business. I almost called it a ligature, but I know that's right. That's not right. Anyway, it's just like that. It's just miscut. I'm just like, I put it on Twitter. I'm like, hey, Peter, man, your customer or your printer is sending this stuff out to your customers, uncut pages. And Peter's like, oh crap, really? Here's the one he sent me. It's pristine. There's like very little minor spine tick there that you have to kind of like squint one eye at to see it. The book's otherwise in about as good a shape as you can expect for something that was sitting around in a room somewhere and then shoved in an envelope and sent to somebody. Like my next set of books from Alterna, he made it right. He absolutely made it right. In the interest of full disclosure, I thought I should have Taru over here, just so you can kind of see like the relationship that I have with Peter Smeti. If he takes care of his customers, I backed the Exilium campaign on Indiegogo, or was it Indiegogo or Kickstarter? I don't remember now. And Ben, I can't pronounce your name. The creator of Exilium. There we go. We can get around it that way. He's just like, hey Peter, throw some swag in for Elizibar because he's a cool dude. So full disclosure, I got some swag thrown in. Ooh, just whacked my camera. I need a better setup here. I absolutely do. So you just have to pretend that the bounce isn't there. But so full disclosure, I got this statue for free. It's a cool figurine or a cool statue. Like statues aren't my jam, but the fact that this was a gift, that means a lot to me. But Peter Smeti made my comic book problem right. I wasn't even expecting an issue. Like, I get 2 copies, so I don't care if one of them is a misprint. Like, that's just fine. That adds, like, a weird value, potentially. And I'd already read Adam Rec anyway, because I have the original Adam Rec issue sitting in a box somewhere. But he sent this to me. He made it right. He immediately made it right. There was no questioning. There was no, oh, man, you should cut the book yourself. There was no suggestion like that. It was just, hey, you're my customer. You got let down. I will make it right. So I know where he's coming from. I know his service skills. I like to think I know a little bit about the man. I remember, when he was being attacked, when people were slandering him, the emotion in his voice and on his face. That stuff you can fake it if you're an actor, but I don't think he's an actor. Like, it's genuine stuff. Now, we're all human, and I don't want to belabor this because this is such stupid drama. And this has gone on for days. Now, some funny stuff has come out of it, like, I don't know why Peter doesn't just buy a chunk of the rainforest and get, so he has all the paper he needs. Like, jokes like that. That's funny. I gotta admit, that's funny. But at this point, I think we all need to shut up about it. We've done enough damage to each other. We've solidified battle lines that didn't need to be battle lines. Like, I'm going to pick Peter Smeti, the man who made my comic book problem go away, over some guy telling Peter Smeti, buy a printer. Buy a printer. All you people who say you can't buy a printer, you should go buy a printer. Like, that's not helpful. What's helpful is, hey, if you're a small creator, you can print this stuff your own, and it's not on your own. It's not that expensive. It's just a few $1,000s and, a couple weeks of practice. Like, that's reasonable. That is absolutely reasonable ask. And I wish that things weren't being blown up. It's just a difference in scale. On the one hand, you have, like, do-it-yourself scale. Cool. That's awesome. On the other hand, you have the Alterna 12, 15,000 books a month scale. They're different from each other. All right, I'm going to go out. I've said my piece. I wasn't going to do this video, but then I saw Peter talking about this again today on YouTube. A little bit amidst all his other woes where he was talking about some of the really horrifying things that his printer has done in the past. So, cool. I hope you all have a great day. George, I'm not going to buy your book, but that doesn't mean that I wish ill of you. I hope you sell a lot of your book and you make a nice living selling your book. And I sure hope that the, production quality is awesome because who knows? Maybe down the line you'll make something other than Mary Sue that I will be like super into and I'll go, you know what, George? I know a year ago I didn't like you because of what you said to Peter, but it's time for me to forgive and move on, I hope we can all get to that point because this is stupid drama. This is absolutely stupid that we're getting mad. Let me flip back to the monitor. That we're getting mad over you should buy a printer. That we're getting mad over this. It's stupid that we're all so mad about this. And it was stupid of me to get mad about this because I instigated some of this. I was trolling. I admit it. I did some trolling, and as soon as I did it, I regretted it. But at least I had the honesty to not like troll and run. You know, I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna let George and this other person have their say down in the replies of this tweet that I shouldn't have made, and I'm just gonna let it go. I'm not gonna get mad because this is my own stupid fault. And I hope we can all just kind of let stuff go at some point. So that's just my thoughts on this matter. You all take care of yourselves. Have a great day. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I sure hope to see you next time. Until then, bye bye.